This is what we come here for, to see Scotland at Hampden Park, to see moments like that. Come on.
Oh dear, Scotland. Oh dear. Just watched Kazakhstan versus Scotland over in Astana in Kazakhstan. Long journey for the Scotland boys in our first qualifier for the European Championships 2020, which in part has been held in Scotland, by the way. There's a bunch of games being held at Hampden Park, Scotland's ground, and if we qualify, we're guaranteed to play at our home ground, Hampden Park. What a better incentive than to be playing in a tournament for the first time in over 20 years, being playing on our own soil. What can I say? Scotland lost 3-0. Absolute shambles. Probably the worst result in Scotland's history. Certainly in recent history. Probably the worst result in our history. Yeah, I think definitely the worst result in Scotland's history. I must admit, Kazakhstan were a little bit better than I thought they were going to be, but I'm sorry, these Scotland players and management team should hang their heads in shame. I'm speaking as a Scotsman here in Ontario, Canada, and honestly, I'm as romantic, as passionate a Scotland supporter as you can get. I'm always supporting Scotland and I want them to do well, and I'm very positive when we've had negative or bad results in the past, and I always want to try and see the positive out of it, but this was shocking. It's not as if we had bad players playing. Okay, we had a makeshift back four and inexperienced goalkeeper, but we had good quality players playing tonight. You had the likes of John McGinn, Stuart Armstrong and Callum McGregor in midfield. These are quality football players that you think can do a job. You had Ollie Burke, James Forrest. You got enough sort of pace and power and skill in the wide areas. And Ollie McBurney, who's been, it was his first competitive start, but he scored 18 goals in the English Championship for Swansea this season. It's a decent level, especially if the level we're looking at Kazakhstan, who are ranked, what, 117 in the world. Graeme Shinnie, everyone's been calling for Graeme Shinnie to play for Scotland for a long time, including myself. I think he's a good player, but he's not played consistently at left back for a long time, and he looked out of sorts tonight, that's for sure. Like, we've got two top class left backs, and Andrew Robertson and Kieran Tierney, we're always going to be missing them, but Graeme Shinnie was found wanting tonight. Scott McKenna, everyone's talking about Scott McKenna being Scotland's new bright hope in terms of a centre half. He was alongside David Bates, and Liam Palmer was at right back. He's also untested at this level. And we had Scott Bain, decent goalkeeper in goals, but inexperienced at that level. It just wasn't good enough, Scotland. I can't. We're guaranteed a playoff spot after winning our UEFA Nations League group section back in just before the end of the turn of the year there. But I'm sorry, that's not good enough, Scotland, and I've not got anything else to say right now, but absolute shambles. It's just not good enough. Let's have a look what other people have got to say. So I'm looking on the Scotland national team's official Facebook page here. Full-time Kazakhstan 3, Scotland 0. A disappointing night in Astana in our opening UEFA Euro 2020 group qualifier. Let's read some comments, shall we? The first comment is someone I actually know, and he's as loyal a Scotland supporter as you can get. He's travelled all over the world following Scotland, goes to every home match. He runs a great bus, the Rampant Lions. This is the official scarf. I used to go on the bus at Eddie Hunt from Dundee, Scotland. In all the years following Scotland, this has to be one of the worst shows ever. These players should hold their heads in shame. One up front in first game against a team that's well behind us. Unbelievable. something is wrong. We at least with Strachan was moving ahead and up. What do SFA do? Get rid and bring a man that walked away, talking about Alex McLeish there, and make him manager? Doesn't have a clue in forward playing. Shocking. Colin Smith goes, at least the supporters who went to see the game got a nice wee holiday break out of it. Thomas Sampson goes, I want a bag of cans and Bertie Votes back at Scotland. You know what? For all the disappointment we had under Bertie Votes, like one of the worst results was drawn away to Faroe Islands 2-2, but that was after coming back from 2-0 down. At least we had character to get there, and we beat Holland in the playoff and in the first leg of that playoff, and we didn't, you know what, we didn't do as bad as people actually think. Brian Mackay goes, embarrassing. McLeish must go, should never have been given another chance to come back to this job. Alan Morrison says, no passion, no fight. No one was up for it. McLeish should never have gotten the job. Richard Longmuir goes, let's look at the positives. We now know that Shinnie and Palmer should never play for Scotland again. Mark Biagioni? Surely McLeish has to walk after that. I've seen some embarrassing results in my time, but that is right up there in 40 years of watching Scotland. Jordan Lowe, absolute disgrace. Fans who travelled out there should be refunded. Shane Langman, Scotland play San Marino in a few days. I think a shock is on the cards, but Scotland will only cause one if San Marino play their reserves. Alan Cooper, full clear out from the SFA dinosaurs along with a taxi for McLeish, embarrassing and a new low. Charles Benny, I thought Brexit was embarrassing in Europe, this takes the biscuit. Brian McKenna, simply worst result ever. Stephen Shepherd goes, we have literally become the Diddy international team that everyone wants to play to get a result. Shambles is an understatement. Every fan that travelled should get a refund and travel expenses reimbursed. Thomas Hughes, what absolute disgrace. They must sack McLeish after that total humiliation. No pride, fight in their own performances, disgrace every one of them in the Scotland team. Danny Martin, absolutely embarrassing. We should not be getting beat off teams like this. McLeish needs to sort it out or he can go. Alan G. Cowan, what an embarrassment. What a riddy. Can we appoint Stevie Clark as soon as possible, SFA? Said this before Big Numpty Eck was appointed. Surely he'll go into hiding for a while and not show his face. David McLennan, disappointing. Now there's the understatement of the year. Tommy Elliott, yes you can blame the manager, but players need to take a long hard look at themselves. Abysmal. Colin McKenzie, disappointing. Where's the pride? Prima donnas, the lot of them. James Reid says he might put a tenner on San Marino. Norman Cook says, can all the SFA management and players hang your heads in bloody shame? That is an utter disgrace. I thought our game was bad, really poor, but no, it seems we have plummeted to new lows. Third-rate Sunday League football is the standard we are at now. I'm mad. Joe McHugh, Shinnie should never have been in the team. Again, twice he lost his man for the first and third goals. I'll agree with that, him losing his man at a couple of the goals. Coming into the national team with an Aberdeen mentality. Keith Weir says the Scotland national team Facebook page should be even ashamed to post this. Martin Mann says, can't remember a more embarrassing performance ever. Well, I think you get the gist. A lot of unhappy Scotland supporters. I thought this was amusing. John Hill goes, how to save money off celebrating your football team. Support Scotland, West Ham and Alloa. Never had to buy a bottle of champagne in my life. Yeah, people talk about the Faroe Islands when we were 2-0 down against them but came back to draw 2-2 back in 2002. They talk about that being one of the worst lows ever, right? We still came back and showed character to come back from 2-0 down to draw 2 each that day. But that day in 2002, the Faroe Islands were ranked 114. This Kazakhstan team that we just lost 3-0 to are ranked 117. Disappointing. There are tribes in Central America as yet untouched by civilization that are writing to the SFA for a friendly game as they fancy their chances. Scottish football is dead. Time to bury it at sea. See, I wouldn't go as far as say Scottish football is dead. We have got talented football players. We've got talented players coming through the ranks. I've even got great high hopes for my young nephew Josh, who's playing for Scotland under-18s right now, the Scotland schoolboy under-18s. There's a lot of talent. There's a lot of talent, and he's a talented football player with a good head on his shoulders. And if there's a lot of kids his age with the same kind of mentality, I'm hopeful for the future. But oh, it doesn't help after a night like this. Bill Stewart, the worst Scotland performance ever, bar none. Fraser Thorburn, utter disgrace of a performance, outplayed and outfought from start to finish, simply unacceptable Scotland. This was one of the worst ever. Yep, I think you get the gist. Everyone's not happy, including myself. I've been really disappointed following Scotland before, and I've kind of not kept quiet, but I've just kind of kept under the radar, not wanting to criticise too much. But sometimes if you're passionate about something, you have to talk about it, good or bad, positive or negative, and Scotland, that was awful. We've got a lot more. Luckily it was the first game, and maybe we've got time to turn it around. If we turn this around, we'd get a good result against San Marino on Sunday, and we could get more positivity going and then hammer these when we play them again in Glasgow. But it doesn't take away the fact that this was the worst Scotland performance ever. Oh, as a grey squirrel just goes past. Hi, squirrel. Yeah. Okay. Thanks for watching and listening. See ya. Stephen Shepherd, we have literally become the Diddy international team. Whoa! My God, that was loud.
Do you